Hello, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of the world. This is Adept Athletics. To my left, to your right, to my left is Alex, and I am Tosh, and today we're going to be giving you our divisional round predictions. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go in the order of the games. So, Alex, if you'd like to start us off, what are you thinking for Atlanta at Philadelphia?
Atlanta, Philadelphia, I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of Philadelphia. I love how they played all season. I love Carson Wentz. But now that Carson Wentz is gone, I just don't see them going that much farther into the playoffs. Nick Foles was a great quarterback. I remember watching the game against Oakland where he threw for 7 touchdown passes and thinking this guy can be an elite quarterback. But then he just kind of faded away. Falcons are running. They won last week. They're running that intensity into playing with Philadelphia. I feel like the Eagles might clinch this out because of their defense being better than the Falcons' offense. So that's why I'm taking the Eagles.
I'm going to have to go ahead and take Atlanta on this one. I think Atlanta overall for the past 4 weeks or so, give or take them a week there. But I think overall they are on the hotter streak, and I think they have the capability to go into Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is a pretty interesting town when it comes to being a sports fan. It has a certain atmosphere to it that makes you really feel the intensity and the devotion to the teams. But I think Atlanta on this hot streak compared to Philly, who kind of, washed out. They kind of just bottomed up as soon as they lost Carson Wentz. They're still a good team. They're generally healthy, but I think that Atlanta has the ability to take it. So I'm going to go with Atlanta to make it to the NFC Championship game.
All right. Now let's move on to the AFC with Tennessee at New England. I love the Tennessee. I love Marcus Mariota. I think in a few years they'll be a top-tier quarterback. I just don't see them going into Foxborough and beating the Patriots at home. Tom Brady's hot. He has all his weapons back. Gronk's looking healthy. Their offensive line is just doing great this year. Dion Lewis is having a pretty good couple weeks. And that's why I have to take the Patriots as much as it hurts. What about you, partner?
I am also going to go with the Patriots just because, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, they're just that duo, whether or not there is scandals going on right now, whether or not there's tension. They are a duo that has won 5 Super Bowls and made it to 7. So what's to say that, what's another one that they can make it to, And they're playing against Tennessee, kind of an inexperienced quarterback in Marcus Mariota, but I do think that it will be a fun game. I do think that Tennessee will give them a run for their money. And, again, pains me to say it as well, but I think that New England is going to be going to another AFC Championship game.
All right, how about we move on to Sunday's games this week? Let's start off with the Jags and the Steelers. I've been a believer of the Jags for the past couple of years. I've seen their rebuilding process. I saw when they drafted Bortles, when they got their receivers, when they got Leonard Fournette. I've just believed that they've been building a team that can compete for that Super Bowl ring. Earlier in the season, they beat Pittsburgh 40 to I think 3 or 9 or something like that. Ben Roethlisberger threw 4 picks that game. It kind of shambles his confidence for the rest of the season, I would say, or at least that next week. Because of that, any quarterback, even if you flush it out of the back of the mind, that'll always be there. You threw 4 interceptions against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That defense, those corners are shut down. It's just going to be hard for him to just throw to the same 2 targets when they'll be covered the whole game. So that's why I have to take the Jags beating Pittsburgh this week. That defense is young. They're hungry. They're looking to keep rolling to that divisional round against New England. And I feel like Blake Bortles, if he just steps up his game, even the slightest bit, it's just a good game, Pittsburgh. You, partner?
This is a really tough one. I hear Antonio Brown is back to full strength, and I do think that Pittsburgh has a very strong consistency to them. They're pretty well-rounded. So I'm going to have to go with Pittsburgh on this one, strictly probably just because of home field advantage. And, as much as I don't like to say it, because I would love to see the Jags make the title game, because I do think that they have what it takes to beat New England. I think this particular matchup, actually, screw it, we're going with Jacksonville. All right, Jacksonville is going to win this game, 100%. There's no way at all. Antonio Brown is coming back. He's probably going to make this difficult, but I think that the Jacksonville defense has the ability to stop that offense of Pittsburgh, and I think if Blake Bortles steps up just a little bit, him combined with their run game can, in fact, take a game off of Pittsburgh.
All right, screw it. He's going for Jacksonville, ladies and gentlemen. Heard it here first. Now let's go to the NFC, Saints at Vikings. That will be probably the highlight of this weekend. Won't you agree, Vikings fan?
Yes. Okay. So disclaimer: I am a Minnesota fan. I've been a Minnesota fan as long as I, remember football. I'm gonna try to stay as unbiased as I can, but it's gonna leak in there. I think that this game in particular is going to be extremely important as to what we're gonna see in the Super Bowl. I think these two teams are the hottest in the league right now, and I'm not even saying that just as a fan, but seriously, the Vikings won, I think, 10 out of their last 11 games, and New Orleans did about the same. Both of these teams have been on a rise since the beginning of the season. New Orleans obviously had a rough start. The Vikings also lost 2 of their first 4 games, but then after that, both teams just kind of accelerated and realized what was working for them. There's a story behind Case Keenum. There's a story behind Alvin Kamara. Both of these players are just really taking a lead for their team as young players in the league, and ultimately, I do think Minnesota will win because they have a very devoted fan base, and I think that home field advantage does give an edge to them. But that defense and the coaching by Mike Zimmer, all combined together, I think can give Minnesota the edge here.
All right. I personally believe the Vikings are on a hot streak. They're all healthy now. They got the better defense, the better props receivers. Yeah, because they have Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, where it's Michael Thomas and the running backs. The rushing attack with the Vikings was also top 10 in the league, where the Saints had top 3. Just overall, the way that the games will roll out, I have to take the Saints here against his points of view, strictly because Drew Brees, he's hot. He's looking for that second ring. He's trying to retire with as many rings as possible. That's the ultimate goal for all of them. I feel like where the Vikings defense does have the better unit, with their star quarterback and Xavier Rhodes being a little banged up, I feel like that might be a factor in the game overall. And the Vikings, it's Case Keenum, but he was the third-string quarterback. I feel like that might seep into his nerves playing his first playoff game. And Drew Brees just has the more experience, the younger backs, the healthier backs. You guys lost Dalvin Cook early in the season, and that's just why I have to go against them and pick the Saints to go for 7-1. Yeah.
Okay, I could definitely see that. Overall, I think that will probably be the highlight of the weekend. I think that a lot of these other matchups kind of have general ideas behind it, but this game could really go either way, and I'm really hoping Minnesota wins because it's been 41 years since they went to a Super Bowl. This is obviously a rematch of the title game in 2009. I remember that one very poorly. I remember it well. It was a sad moment for me.
Wide right.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not what it was. That was 2 years ago. But
isn't it all the same though?
Kind of. But before we go ahead and take it off here, how about we talk a little bit about the matchups we theoretically created for the title game? Okay. So I believe we both chose Jacksonville at New England. Or did you choose Pittsburgh?
I said Jacksonville at New England. I just feel like I don't see Pittsburgh necessarily being able to go against that defense for Jacksonville, so that's why New England will beat the Titans. It's just they're the 5th seed. They're not that good. They just barely squeeze into the playoffs. So that's why the Patriots and then the Jacks.
Okay, what do you think of that game if it were to happen theoretically?
If it was the Patriots at Jags, I hate to say it because I hate the Patriots in general, but Tom Brady, he's hot. He's 40. He's trying to prove something else some other quarterbacks can't say, and that's play past 40. The tensions between his coach and then the front office is kind of high, and that might be a distraction for them. But even with that, I feel like just the Patriots always find a way to win, even if Jacksonville's ahead. So if Jacksonville can shut down Tom Brady, then it might be Jacksonville. But without that happening, it's definitely the Patriots.
Yeah, and I do think that Jacksonville has, because I also have this matchup, I think Jacksonville definitely has the capability to beat them. I think that they have what it takes. I think they have strengths where they need them. I think if this were to happen, it would be a very close game, at least a one-score game at the most. I'm assuming 2 or 3 points is probably going to be the game. But I'm assuming that Jacksonville could probably take it.
But in the odd chance that Jacksonville loses against Steelers, in that sense, then I feel the Patriots it's the easiest right up.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger can't go into Foxborough, carry a team to the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter if you have Antonio Brown, Randy Moss, or even Jerry Rice. I just don't feel like the Steelers have that kind of ability to go into Foxborough and win.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jacksonville is definitely the biggest threat to New England at this moment in either conference, to be completely honest. So let's talk about the NFC games because this is where we differ. Theoretically, based on your picks, you have New Orleans going into Philadelphia. What do you think?
If New Orleans goes into Philadelphia, we'll probably have a Tom Brady, Drew Brees Super Bowl, for the ages. Philadelphia, if they beat the Falcons, they'll probably lose a couple key players and due to injury or something will happen. The Saints will roll it into Philadelphia and just kind of, I'd say, destroy the Eagles in the sense that Drew Brees is hot, Alvin Kamara is hot, and their defense is just playing phenomenal. Marshawn Lattimore, who knows where he came from, but he is a stud. He shut down Devin Funchess for the majority of the game. If it was Kelvin Benjamin, he probably would have shut him out. And I just feel like that's just what he brings to the table as a corner. Their safeties are playing well. Cam Jordan on that D-line, he could bring pressure into any quarterback, and that's why I feel like if the Saints played the Eagles, then we'd had a Drew Brees, Tom Brady Super Bowl.
And on the other side, my matchup is, of course, Atlanta at Minnesota. And, overall, I think that Minnesota would take it, and that's just because Atlanta is kind of when it comes to defense. They have some strengths, but they also have some defining weaknesses. And then on the opposite side, with Julio Jones injured right now, he's questionable for this divisional round. There's just a lot of questions going around for this Atlanta team, and if they're that close, they can smell the Super Bowl again. Will they start to get a bit antsy about what happened a year ago?
And that'll always be in the back of the mind of any team. I don't care how experienced you are, how old you are. When you get that kind of loss, it'll always be in the back of your mind. Matt Ryan, that'll be part of his
legacy.
Yeah. That'll be the legacy of Matt Ryan, 28-3. Tom Brady will have the positive end while the Falcons have the negative end.
Yeah. I think the divisional round will be really interesting. I think the two games, specifically Jacksonville at Pittsburgh and New Orleans at Minnesota, those two marquee matchups on Sunday, those games are going to definitely define how the Super Bowl is going to look and how interesting these up-and-coming games are going to be.
I couldn't agree more. Well, you heard from us first. Thanks for watching, and please come again.
Yes, you should do that. Catch you later.